16 Tronium. It's my pleasure to welcome you all here. For those that don't know me, I'm Gareth Green, the Chief Executive Officer of Taupo District Council, and in the absence of a Mayor, until he's sworn in, I'm opening the meeting, so welcome and thank you for coming. We do have a karakia to open the proceedings, so I'd like to ask Hoani Simon to come up and do a karakia, please. Right, Tom.
Tēnā koutou, ngā whānau, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou, inoa tātou, whakatakatau ū, whakakatau tonga, kia mā kina kiuta, kia mā taratara ki tai, kia hia ki ana te atu, kia he tio, he ruka, ti hei mauri o, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Dominic, and obviously Dominic rather than Hoani. First item on the agenda is apologies, but we are all here, so we'll skip over that. Second item on the agenda is conflicts of interest. Any conflicts of interest? I presume there'll be none? No. So moving on from there, the first item on the agenda is the declaration of the Mayor. So, Mr. Mayor, I have a proceeding here for you, which I'll ask you to read out, please.
Thank you. I, David James Joseph Trewavis, declare that I will faithfully, impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of the Taupo District the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as Mayor of the Taupo District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 or any other act. Those duties include the requirements under clauses 15(4) and 16 of the 7th schedule of the Local Government Act 2002 to comply with the Taupo District Council Code of Conduct and the Taupo District Council Standing Orders.
So I'll ask you to sign the form.
Sign that.
Well done.
Very good.
Now that we have a Mayor, I shall exit the chair and pass over to the Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Green. An absolute pleasure to be here, and good morning, everyone, especially incoming councillors and members of the public. I'd like to welcome everyone in. Hopefully you can hear, and the councillors will have their microphones on, but nice to see a full house. I'd like to particularly thank my nominators, Mr. Ken Bleakley and Mr. Glyn Poynton. I see Ken there. I don't know if Mr. Poynton's here, but for nominating me for this prestigious role, and I'm very honoured to receive the role. Especially like to thank my wife Anna and my family who's in the audience today for their hard work over the last 3 years, and especially during the campaign period, and especially members of my campaign team and supporters there this morning. Fantastic to see you guys, and indeed all the partners and supporters of the candidates as well. The last 3 years have been, we've been in a rebuild phase, and I'm pleased to report that all the indicators are going the right way. My vision is to make this place an even better than what it is today. And I believe that I've received a good mandate from the community and the elections to carry on that work and to make this place an even better place to live. We've got a lot of challenges coming up. We've got long-term plans to do, and the councillors, incoming councillors' wishes and aspirations will be received during that phase. So please, it will be a great opportunity to participate in. Please, councillors, I certainly welcome the new councillors, Councillor Rankin coming in and Councillor Kingi. Great to have you guys on board, and good to see the returning councillors here. The councillors, I believe, we must work as a team. We're not going to always agree, but I think we need to show a bit of decency to each other, and once we've agreed on going forward, we'll show that mutual respect and the common courtesies I expect around the council table, all the stuff that your mum and dad taught you. So I'd like to carry on that nice way of doing business. So please, I urge you to do that, and also have a bit of fun and enjoy the process. You've been put in by the people to make good decisions on the best information available, and I'm sure you'll do that great justice. So now that you'll all get sworn in, thank you very much, everyone, for coming, and we look forward to a wonderful 3 years ahead. Especially my thanks to the staff here, who are wonderful through this organisation, and all the members of the public here today. So thank you, Mr. Green, and obviously you're a fairly new chief executive, which you fitted in very well, and I think you're doing a fantastic job. So I'm sure we'll carry on in a good, positive way. So we'll go to item number 2. I think is the declaration by the councillors. Okay, Kirsty Truman.
So I, Kirsty Teresa Truman, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of Taupo District the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as Councillor of the Taupo District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 or any other act. Those duties include the requirements under clauses 15, 4 and 16 of the 7th Schedule to the Local Government Act 2002 to comply with the Taupo District Code of Council Code of Conduct and the Taupo District Council Standing Orders.
Welcome aboard, Councillor Truman.
Thank you.
Tonganui Kingi.
Ai. Kia ora, Mr. Mayor, kia ora whānau. I, Tonganui Te Tonga Manaaki Te Iwi, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the Taupo District the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a councillor of the Taupo District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 or any other act. Those duties include the requirements under clauses 15, bar 4 and 16 of the 7th Schedule of the Local Government Act 2002 to comply with the Taupo District Council Code of Conduct and Taupo District Council Standing Orders.
Welcome, Councillor Kingi. Councillor Barry Hickling.
Done this a few times now, Barry?
Just a few times. I, Edward Hickling, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and in accordance with the best of my skills and judgment execute and perform in the best interest of the Taupo District the powers, authorities and duties vested in me or imposed upon me as a councillor of the Taupo District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meeting Act 1987 and any other act. Those duties include the requirement under clause, this says 14, this says 15. So which one is it? 15 bar 4 and 16 of the 7th Schedule of the Local Government Act 2002 comply with the Taupo District Council Code of Conduct and the Taupo District Council's Standing Orders. So
it's right on there.
it's right on there, because David said the wrong one.
No, don't think so.
What did I say?
14.
I said 14.
Well done.
Well picked up, Councillor. Councillor Christine Rankin.
You've said it a few times. I, Christine Catherine Rankin, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of Taupo District the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as Councillor of the Taupo District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 or any other act. Those duties include the requirements under Clause 15.4 and 16 of the 7th Schedule to the Local Government Act 2002 to comply with the Taupo District Council Code of Conduct and the Taupo District Council Standing Orders.
Good. Welcome, Councillor Rankin. Anna Park.
I, Anna Mary Park, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of the Taupo District the powers, authorities, duties vested in or imposed upon me as the Councillor of the Taupo District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 or any other act. Those duties include the requirements under clauses 15.4 and 16 of the 7th Schedule of the Local Government Act 2002 to comply with the Taupo District Council Code of Conduct and the Taupo District Council Standing Orders.
Welcome, Councillor Park.
Getting married.
Councillor Zane Cousins.
I, Zane Malcolm Cousins, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interest of Taupo District the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as Councillor of the Taupo District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 or any other act. Those duties include the requirements under clauses 15.4 and 16 of the 7th Schedule to the Local Government Act 2002 by the Taupo District Council Code of Conduct, the Taupo District Council Standing Orders. Thank you.
Councillor Rosie Harvey.
I, Rosemary Lynn Harvey, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interest of Taupo District and the powers, authorities and duties invested in or imposed upon me as Councillor of the Taupo District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 or any other act. Those duties include the requirements under clauses 15.4, 16 of the 7th Schedule to the Local Government Act 2002 to comply with the Taupo District Council Code of Conduct and the Taupo District Council Standing Orders.
Very good. Councillor Rosie Harvey.
I'll be back. Thank you, kind sir. Had to share glasses. I brought mine.
We don't get paid enough, do we, Rosie?
No.
John Boddy.
I, John Russell Body, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, in accordance to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of the Taupo District the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a Councillor of the Taupo District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meeting Act 1987 or any other act. Those duties include the requirements under clause 15.4 and 16 of the 7th Schedule of the Local Government Act 2002 to comply with the Taupo District Code of Conduct and the Taupo District Council Standing Orders.
Councillor John Boddy. John Williamson.
I, John Brenton Williamson, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of Taupo District the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as Councillor of the Taupo District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 or any other act. Those duties include the requirements under clauses 15.4 and 16 of the 7th Schedule to the Local Government Act 2002 to comply with the Taupo District Council Code of Conduct and the Taupo District Council Standing Orders.
Councillor John Williamson. Roseanne Jollins.
I, Roseanne Marie Jollins, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the Taupo District Council the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as Councillor of the Taupo District Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meeting Acts 1987 or any other act. Those duties include the requirements under clauses 15.4 and 16 of the 7th Schedule of the Local Government Act 2002 to comply with the Taupo District Council Code of Conduct and the Taupo District Council Standing Orders.
Councillor Roseanne Jollins. Great, all done. Okay, well done. Congratulations, everyone. Well read, no mistakes. Fantastic. I don't think. Okay, item 4.3, appointment of the Deputy Mayor. I have an absolute pleasure to announce that I've chosen Councillor Rosie Harvey, who is the highest polling candidate in the recent elections. I've offered her the position of Deputy Mayor. She has very kindly taken it up, so I'd like to appoint Councillor Harvey to the role of Deputy Mayor. I'd also, in doing so, like to thank Councillor Barry Hickling, who has done the role for the last 3 years exceedingly well. And thank you, Barry, for all your very hard work. And Councillor Hickling, as I know, is very supportive of this decision. So, Councillor Harvey, congratulations! A proud moment for your family sitting in the gallery. You've done wonderful things for this town, and it's a well-deserved honour. And I look forward to working with you over the next 3 years. So I'd like to move it by resolution, if that's all right. So I'll move that the council notes the appointment of Deputy Mayor Councillor Harvey of the Taupo District Council.
I will second that.
And seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those against?
Thank you.
Carried. Okay, thank you. Rosie.
Speech.
Councillor Harvey, Deputy Mayor, would you like to say anything?
I would just like to say that I take it as a great honour to accept the appointment, and I will certainly do my best to work very hard on behalf of the council and always keep the interests of the district in mind, and that's certainly always been my aim. I've always thought like that, and certainly that's always been my aim, and I'm very, very happy to be doing this role, and I will always back you up as the Mayor. That's something I'm very proud of, and I will yes, as I say, I take this role very seriously. So my door is always open as well, and I'm a very much an open-minded councillor, always have been. So that's how I intend to continue. So thank you very much for that opportunity, and I will take it gratefully, and thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, we move on to 4.4, legislative advice for the incoming council. Mr. Green.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll ask our corporate solicitor, Mr. McCaddy, Nigel McCaddy, to come forward and run you through this item. This item is, I was going to say procedural, but it's something that's set down in the legislation that we have to do at the first meeting, so it does sound a little bit boring, but it's something that we have to tick the box and go through.
Good morning, Mr. McCaddy.
Hello, can you hear me? Thank you. It could potentially be slightly dry, and I'm not sure how much applause taking you councillors through this is going to get, but This is very much an overview. I understand you will have received some introductory packs which will contain more detail. So if I'll just go through and I'll highlight some points. Worship, I take the item as read. I please encourage you, if you do have any questions as we quickly go through it, to stop me and ask the questions now. And of course, I'm more than happy to take questions away and provide the information to you after the meeting. So, the Local Government Act is obviously the key guiding act for councillors. It provides council with a degree of flexibility compared with the previous Local Government Act 1974. And that is that the council has what's called a power of general competence to do whatever it needs to do to achieve its purpose. Of course, that comes with a trade-off, and that trade-off under the 2002 Act is that there is a requirement to consult with the community, particularly in relation to those decisions which are of significance. I'd also make the point there that whilst there is a power of general competence, this doesn't extend to matters of a regulatory nature. So when we're talking about enforcement matters or bylaws, for example, the council is very much constrained by the provisions of the Local Government Act. So just something to keep that in mind. There are clearly two purposes of local government. The first is the enabling of community democracy, and the second is meeting the needs of communities for infrastructure, services and regulatory functions. There's very much an emphasis on cost effectiveness, as those returning councillors and new councillors will no doubt be aware. And that reference is to delivering outcomes in a way that is most cost effective for households and businesses. And really that emphasis on cost effectiveness makes affordability, which is of course a relative concept to different communities, the bottom line for determining how these outcomes are delivered. On page 19 of the agenda item, I have highlighted the key principles which a council should have reference to when performing its role. And I felt this was important to highlight these just as a touchstone really for councillors to go back to as they're performing their role. It refers to matters such as conducting business in an open and transparent and democratically accountable manner. The council should make itself aware and have regard to the views of its communities. It should plan effectively for the future management of assets and so on. So that's in section 14 of the Local Government Act. So I'd encourage councillors, both continuing and new, to continually go back and review those principles. So that's the whistle-stop tour of the Local Government Act 2002. I'll move on to, which is a bit of a mouthful, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act, or LGOIMA. Now, the overriding principle of LGOIMA is that information held by council should be made available to the public. The idea behind that is that will enable more effective participation by the public in actions and decisions of local authorities and promote the accountability of both members and officials to the public. That said, there may be at times very, very good reasons for withholding information. And those factors include privacies of individuals. It can include situations where the council is involved in sensitive commercial negotiations. It can include situations where there is some legally privileged material, which there's very good reason for withholding that from releasing to the public. I've referred to the interests of the individual. It should be noted the Privacy Act places strict limitations regarding the release of information relating to private individuals, and this must be seen as curtailing the general rule regarding the public access to information. I just thought I'd highlight a passage for you on page 20 of the item. which says any information marked public excluded or confidential should not be released to the public or discussed outside of the meeting concerned. Members must keep to the law. A member cannot choose when to obey rules regarding confidentiality and when to breach them. The constant and consistent observance of the rules regarding confidentiality is critical to the delivery of good governance to the community. And the item goes on to just encourage members, please, that if there is a question in their minds about the release of information they hold to a third party, that their query or request should be referred to the Democracy and Community Engagement Manager, Tina Jakes. Continuing on that theme under local authority meetings and confidentiality, when the public is excluded by due resolution of the council, and when the council holds information confidentiality, then it is critical that the rules of confidentiality are strictly observed and maintained by the members of the council. This is reinforced by the standing orders, which you've referred to in your declarations today, which means that a breach of confidentiality provisions in the standing orders may potentially be an offence under the Local Government Act. So that's the importance which the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act and the Local Government Act places on confidentiality. Right, moving to the Local Authorities Members' Interests Act 1968. Now this helps protect the integrity of local authority decision making by ensuring that councillors are not affected by personal motives when they participate in council decision making and cannot use their position to obtain preferential access to contracts. So these are really, I think we'd all agree, matters of common sense. The Act deals with two forms of interest, both a pecuniary interest and a non-pecuniary interest. The distinction is a pecuniary interest is more straightforward. It really deals with an interest that involves money. The more difficult one sometimes can be dealing with non-pecuniary interests, sometimes referred to as the appearance of bias. These rules around bias operate not only to ensure that there is no actual bias, but also that there is no appearance or possibility of bias. And the principle is, as we're all familiar with, justice should not only be done, but it should be seen to be done. And what's that really highlighting is perception is very, very important. A non-pecuniary interest is a difficult issue because it often involves matters, as I said, of perception and degree. The question you need to consider, which has been drawn from case law, is this: is there, to a reasonable, fair-minded and informed observer, a real indication of bias on the part of a member of the decision-making body, in the sense that they might unfairly regard with favour or disfavour the case of a party to the issue under consideration? If there is, the member should declare their interest and withdraw from the debate. The law about bias does not put you at risk of personal liability, but importantly, the validity of the council's decision could be at risk. The need for public confidence in the decision-making process is paramount, and perception can be an important factor. Move on now to the Crimes Act. Again, this is very much common sense. Under the Crimes Act, it is unlawful for an elected member or officer to accept or solicit for themselves or anyone else a gift or reward for acting or not acting in relation to the business of the council, or to use information gained in the course of their duties for their or another person's advantage or monetary gain. One of the outcomes of a conviction under the Crimes Act is that a member would lose their office. Going on to the Secret Commissions Act 1910, again, it's a matter of common sense which should be obvious to all. The Act basically establishes offences relating to the giving or receiving or soliciting of gifts or other consideration as an inducement or reward for doing or forbearing to do something in relation to the affairs of the council, or showing or having shown favour or disfavour to any person in relation to the council's affairs or business. Again, a conviction under the Secrets Commission Act would result in the member losing office. The Financial Markets Conduct Act 2013, it's not an act which is relevant at this time to the council because currently this council does not offer securities to the public. If it did so, then the members would be in the same position as a director, meaning that if there was some incorrect information going out to the public about the securities that were being offered, then the members could potentially be liable under that act. Moving on to the Protected Disclosures Act 2000, or the Whistleblower Protection as it's commonly referred to. Under this Act, an employee, which includes members of the council by definition, who disclose information about a serious wrongdoing by a public sector organisation, are protected from civil or criminal liability that might otherwise arise from such disclosure and from retaliatory action against them. Now, there's some various requirements that the employee or member in this case would need to follow if seeking protection under that Act. The council has a protected disclosures policy which is required to be followed if a member or employee was considering trying to seek protection under the Act. So please have reference to those, and I'm sure that'll be covered in your introductory material. Moving to personal liability of elected members. Section 43 of the Local Government Act 2002 provides an indemnity by the council for elected members in relation to civil claims, that's both damages and costs, and in relation to criminal action, it provides indemnity for the costs arising from successfully defending a criminal action. However, the Local Government Act does provide for a theoretical personal exposure on the part of elected members in certain circumstances if the council has incurred a loss due to actions of the council. However, you'll all be pleased to know that as a member you have certain defences if you can prove that the act or failure which led to a loss occurred without your knowledge, or with your knowledge, but against your protest made at or before the time when the loss occurred, or contrary to the manner in which you voted on the issue at a meeting, or in circumstances where you acted in good faith and relied on information or professional or expert advice given by a council officer or a professional advisor on matters which you reasonably believed were in that person's competency. So there's plenty of protection for you there. Moving on to the Health and Safety at Work Act 2015, something that's been in the headlines a lot in the last 12 to 18 months. And this provided a significant change to New Zealand's current health and safety legislation following the Pike River tragedy. The Act now allocates duties on those persons who are in the best position to control risks to health and safety, which is appropriate to their role in the workplace. One of the significant changes is to introduce a definition of officers, which includes any person occupying a position in relation to a business or undertaking that allows that person to exercise significant influence over the management of the business or undertaking. So that would include members. So whilst members have a due diligence obligation, as do other officers of the council, there is, you'll be pleased to know, an exclusion from liability for elected members. However, of course, that doesn't exclude a member's obligation to exercise due diligence. And the lucky last, the Public Records Act 2005, which is to provide a framework to keep central and local government organisations accountable by ensuring records are full and accurate, well maintained and accessible. And really, the key message here is that in the conduct of their affairs, elected members may receive information directly, for example, from constituents, and members will need to consider whether that information needs or meets the definition of a local authority record, and therefore need to ensure that it's included in the council's records. So that's the whistle-stop tour of the legislative requirements. I hope everyone's still awake.
Yeah, we're still awake. I think the short message is to the councillors, everyone's just got to behave themselves. Is that right, Mr McCaddy?
Basically, well, that's a fair summary. I should have just said that, shouldn't I?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr McCaddy, but I think it is very important to go over those particular points that you've raised here. So, very happy that you've done that this morning.
Thank you.
Is that all we need? So we're just a recommendation?
That's all we need. Absolutely. So there's a recommendation there, Mr. Worship, but I guess the short thing there is we had to go through that by legislation, but the short answer is if you're ever in doubt, come and have a chat to one of us and we can help you out and advise you in the right place.
Okay, so the recommendation that the council receives a report entitled Legislative Advice to the Incoming Council. Would I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Hickling. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Right, item number 4.5, adoption of standing orders. Mrs. Tina Jakes. Good morning, Mrs. Jakes.
Morning. So as pointed out on this agenda item, the local government New Zealand have been working on a new set of standing orders for use by local government, and those are attached. There are a couple of 3 points that they've asked us to consider. One is in relation to the chairman's casting vote. The second is around the ability to have audio-visual links, and the third is around a choice between which option we'd like to choose for motions and amendments. So the recommendation is that the chairperson's casting vote, he or she does have a casting vote, which is what the recommendation is from Local Government New Zealand, and the ability to have an audio-visual link I think is certainly something that we want to have in there for future-proofing that ability. And in terms of the motions and amendments, our recommendation is option C, which reflects the current practice that this council operates under.
Okay.
There's just on your table, there was just this amendment that we received after the agenda was distributed from Local Government New Zealand, and it's just in relation to option B where there is a change to that. So that's really just for your information.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Jakes. Any questions or queries for Mrs. Jakes?
Well, Mr. Chairman, yes, I do.
Councillor Boddy?
3 years ago, I raised the same issue at this particular day in regards of our standing orders. The thing that concerns me, and I need to be corrected on this, if we go to page 28 of the agenda, it states we have an amendment, or 2 amendments. One is the draft Taupo District Council standing orders, and yet we've been asked to approve standing orders. Are we looking at a draft or the final version?
So, Mr. Chairman, when a document's put up to you, it's in a draft form, and when you've moved the motion, it becomes the substantive one, yes.
Could I then ask the question, when did we as a previous council, or the previous council, get the draft to go through? The reason I raise it is the old one, which is this one here, has 55 pages. The new one has 77. So have we sat down as a council and gone through the new draft?
No, you haven't.
Could I then go back 3 years ago when this issue was raised and the legal person at the time came into the chamber and spoke about the review that's come up and what we've got before us now, and say that eventually we'd have a new one with some changes. I also, and you said, Mr. Chairman, before, bring a bit of humour in, so I'm going to refer back to the wise old man of our district council, Moses Hickling. Is he listening? 3 years ago, in this debate that we had, Councillor Hickling at the time said, and I'll read it out word for word basically, adopt the provisions of standing orders, i.e. the ones that we've got now at that time, which is what I'm asking for, until the new standing orders would come through. And that was the suggestion of Councillor Hickling. So I have moved an amendment, and I don't want to go into the changes that I don't agree or disagree with. And once again, bringing up that we, as a previous council and a new council, have not gone through this draft. There may be things we like in it, we don't like in it. It's not the Bible. It can be amended. So I would like to move that we continue with our existing standing orders until a public workshop or some other public forum takes place to go through these new standing orders, and I would move that way.
How the councillors feel about that? Standing orders, I presume, is the standard template from Local Government New Zealand?
That's correct.
Yeah. So has their mind of the councillors they want to change the national template on this?
There will be some training opportunities as this is quite new. They have, Local Government New Zealand actually haven't put out the dates for that training yet, so there is an opportunity to attend that training to have a look at the standing orders. And again, at any time the standing orders can come back to council to be changed. You need 75% of those present to change those.
Okay.
Do all councils use these same set of standing orders?
That's the aim of this in terms of Local Government New Zealand, as a template for all councils to use.
Councillor Cousins?
Through the chair, so just to confirm, Councillor Body, you're saying you want the opportunity to be able to read all this and discuss them before we adopt them, is that what you're saying, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct. This incoming council, indeed the previous one, never had the chance to go through them. Some months ago, and Mrs Jakes may well remember, I did get the draft. That draft has, this new one has things in it, but this one doesn't. So if we're working on that, but as a council, we've not discussed it. I'm not saying that eventually we'll adopt what Local Government New Zealand recommends. What I'm saying is that we stick with the existing standing orders until that is done.
Is any second of Councillor Body's?
No,
Councillor Hickling?
I was going to speak to it.
You can speak to it, yes.
Um,
Hickling?
I'm quite comfortable with adopting these standing orders, Your Worship. It's a standard template which majority of all councils in New Zealand would use. It can be amended as we go through the triennium if that is what we wish, but I'd feel very comfortable about adopting them today, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Hickling. Okay, there appears to be no... Councillor Williamson?
Yeah, through the chair, I tend to support Councillor Hickling's view that we're just adopting the LGN's, the equipped standing orders with minor amendments, and the question here is on the page now to try and discuss those three amendments. I don't see why we're retracing back 3 years. We're looking at this triennium.
All right, there appears to be no seconder for Councillor Body's suggestion, so what I'll do is go to the suggested recommendation there and just straight to the recommendation on 4/5, page 26. Okay, the recommendation there.
I'd move that suggested resolution.
Moved by Councillor Hickling, seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against?
Could I have mine recorded, please?
Okay. So, Councillor Body against?
Record, please.
Thank you very much. Okay, carry on to item number 4.6.
Two pages from the back.
Okay, item number 4.6, appointment of the councillors to the Turingi Tongariro Community Board. Mrs Jakes, you're handling that one?
Thank you again. Inaugural meeting for the Turangi Tongariro Community Board is tomorrow, and this paper provides the opportunity to appoint your 2 ward councillors to the community board so that they can conduct their business tomorrow in terms of electing chairs and deputies.
I'll
Thank
move
you,
that
Mr.
way,
Jakes.
Mr Chairman. I'll move that way.
Yep, cool. Okay, so it's been moved by councillor Boddy that the council appoints councillors Z.M. Cousins and T. King to the...
Chair, how come my initials are there, but Councillor King has got too many initials?
I do.
to the Turangi Tongariro Community Board, and it's been moved by councillor, who was it, John Boddy, and seconded by councillor Rankin. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Item 4.7, first meeting of the council.
Again, Mr Chairman, previously Tuesdays was the date set for your council meetings, and at this stage we've recommended that the first council meeting is on the 8th of November at 1 o'clock. However, if you wanted to look at changing that, you can.
Okay, is everyone happy with that date? I think there is a suggestion we might move the Tuesdays to possibly Thursdays at some stage, but we'll talk to that at some stage.
Mr Chairman, we had this debate before about what's on our agenda paper. Is it the last Tuesday or the 4th Tuesday? There's been a bit over the... So what are we going to say it is now the last Tuesday?
So what you'll do at your next meeting is set up your schedule of meetings for the rest of this year, and then you'll do the same at the start of next year for the following year so that you know for the whole year. Generally, it's the last Tuesday of the month rather than the 4th. But that's, again, that is up to you. You may decide to change that and make it another day, Wednesday nights.
Thank you.
And Mr Chairman, you'll still have another meeting in November as well. This is basically an additional meeting to set up your committee structure.
Okay, thank you, Mr Jakes. All right, recommendation there that we meet next, is it next Tuesday? Tuesday after. For the first meeting of the council, could I have a move, please? Moved by councillor Cousins, seconded by councillor Rankin. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. Okay, thank you very much. That brings the end to proceedings today. We've got late morning tea or early lunch there, so please stay around and have a cup of tea and mix and mingle. If I could call Dominic Bowden to do a final blessing to wish us well, please. Thank you. Got it, Dominic. Amen. Thank you. Meeting closed.